We got this 2003 Buick LeSabre here. The owner said he had a small coolant leak. He noticed it when he came out of work. So what's the next step? He went ahead and filled up the entire reservoir with coolant, even though the full mark is right there. Anyway, common issue on these cars. Oh, by the way, as you can see, I got my pressure tester connected, and that cap for the radiator is no good. You can see how the gasket down there is torn. Anyway, besides that, we come inside of here. See that O-ring back there? It's leaking. Now the plastic elbow itself isn't cracked or anything. These are known for breaking, but it's that O-ring back there that's actually leaking. So hopefully you guys can see that. It's pouring out of there slowly with pressure, and then it ends up building up down here, pooling and dripping off the engine. So of course, if this elbow is going to get replaced, it's going to get one of those like upgraded metal ones. You don't want to put a plastic one on because it's just a matter of time before they fail again. That's going to be the repair for this one. I don't know if it's going to get done today, but I guess we'll find out. So I'm going to go ahead and put my tools away and let the owner know what I found. So it turns out the owner wants to get it done, and he wants to get it done today. So went out to AutoZone. We got the classic Dorman. One of the few decent parts that Dorman makes that actually works. I mean, it's hard to mess this up, right? So these are made out of a metal instead of plastic. And now it's just a matter of tearing all this stuff apart to get to the two elbows, and let's see how it goes. Hopefully we don't run into any problems. As you can see, I got everything taken apart. Here goes the main piece right here that houses the elbows. The first elbow goes right there, and the second elbow is still attached. Now, I've been looking for excuses to use my brand new Knipex tools. So here goes the Cobra pliers. Obviously, just grabbed on the elbow here very gently and twist and pull, and it came out without any issues. Very nice pliers, guys. And then I grabbed a standard like cheapo wire brush here. This one is going to be brass, and you really want to clean out the bores of where the new O-rings are going to seat. Make sure it's nice and clean and give it a nice sealing surface. But the thing is, the standard handle on this thing was way too long, and it wouldn't fit that well. I didn't have much space to move it back and forth because it was hitting the rail of the car. So again, you know, me looking for reasons to use my tools, that's what I had to cut off of it and use my other new Knipex tools. These are the side cutters, and they snapped right through that, no issues at all. And yeah, they're looking good. So let me go ahead and get some more work done on this. At this point, it's just a bunch of cleaning. That's all it really is. Just like any other job, the prep work is where all the time is at, and that's what makes the biggest difference. Here's something I just noticed. This plastic one actually snapped off. I thought the whole thing came out, but no, it didn't. So that's probably why it was leaking in the first place. It probably just had a hairline crack. So now I'm gonna have the fun time of trying to get in there and remove that piece, as you can see. Now, before I move on to that piece that's broken off inside of there, I want to go ahead and clean out the bores of where the new elbow is going to grow. So a little bit of silicone spray or really any type of lubricant. And once again, I'm going to deploy the cordless Dremel. And as you can see, I got a real fine wire wheel on this thing. You don't got to go crazy with this. You're not trying to remove any material. You just want this bore like super clean. Look at that, guys. That's all you really need. So let me go ahead and move on to this one. You can see what that looks like. And let me clean it up and I'll show you an after. There we have it. That one's all done. And that one is all done. That sealing surface looks nice and clean. And I have no doubt that the new O-rings are going to seal perfectly. I've said it a dozen times and I'll say it again. I don't understand why you don't see a cordless Dremel in many people's toolbox, or you know, when people make must-have videos, no one ever mentions the Dremel. In my opinion, you need one of these. It's no different from having a ratchet compared to an impact gun. You need an impact gun, right? Sure, you could get it done with just a ratchet, but it's going to take way longer. Same thing with this. Sure, I could have cleaned out those boards with a different method and just use a little bit of elbow grease, right? But the cordless Dremel just really speeds things up and helps you get into tight places and just knock out the job a lot faster. Recently, I saw someone in my comment section say that they picked up a Dremel because I showed it off in my last video talking about how useful it is. So I'm really happy that someone's listening. And hey guys, if you don't got one, get yourself one. You'll find uses for it and you'll thank me later. So I did get that broken plastic out. As you can see, I just used my pick to try to get behind it and gently pull it out. You got to be aware of what you're doing here because the pick can scratch that bore, and if you put a deep enough gouge in it, well, the new o-ring isn't going to seal. So really be aware of that. I was really careful when I was pulling this piece out, but now that it's out, if we look inside of here, you can see I have a lot of crap to clean up now. And unfortunately, we can't get the Dremel in there because of its location. So we're just gonna have to do it manually using brushes and whatever we can to get inside of there and try to clean it out. All right, so I just wanted to show you guys something, a little idea, a little light bulb went off in my head. So I'm like, hey, why don't I just grab the wire wheel that I just had in my Dremel and my adapter for a tap and my cordless ratchet, put them all together, and it allows me to get in there and clean out those boards just how I was doing for these things. So this right here is just a tap adapter. So it's got a 3/8 drive on the back, and this is the larger one. I got two of them. This one has a larger size opening and that one smaller. So basically this is just like a Jacob's chuck. You twist the collar and it's going to clamp down on whatever's inside of there. And I found, well, this one's too large obviously, but the small one actually clamps down on this shaft right here nice and tight, so it holds it in place. And now you could get in there, clean out that board. Isn't that genius? I know, I'm smart. I'm gonna have to go ahead and put a patent on this thing. If you guys see this anywhere else, remember, you saw it here first, okay? Sometimes you gotta think outside the box, guys. So I started cleaning just a little bit, and you can see how it's already making a big difference. So I still have a lot more cleaning to do, but let me keep doing this. So here's where I'm at, guys. I think it's good enough. I even put my finger inside of there to feel for any like ridges or anything like that, and it's absolutely smooth all the way through. I have no doubt that the new o-ring is going to seal inside of there. And the same thing for this one. Nice and smooth. I can't feel anything at all. I know it has that little purple ring, but that's just like discoloration from the old o-ring. But it's absolutely smooth all the way around. I'm happy with the way that turned out, and I'm sure it's going to seal. Now it's time to grab the new parts. I have them out of the box already right here. And I've gone ahead and put some silicone paste on the o-rings. So just a dab like this, and I smeared it all the way around. I did the other three already. And the reason for that is just so that they slide into place and that the o-rings don't try to roll over as you're installing it, and there's no chance of damaging the new o-rings. You could also use the silicone spray, but the spray tends to evaporate fast. The paste just really stays in place. So let me get all these lubed up and we'll put them in. There we have it, guys. The whole piece is reinstalled. The bolts are in, everything's torqued down, and everything just slid together like butter. And the other one is right there. That's pretty much it. I'm gonna go ahead and start putting everything back together again, and we'll top off the system with brand new coolant, bleed the system, and it should be all set. So I got everything put back together. The engine is running. As you can see, I'm trying to bleed out the cooling system at the moment. We already have hot air blowing out of the dash, but one issue the owner wants me to look at is he says that his left turn signals are blinking fast. Let me lower this fan speed. So you can see it's blinking fast. But not only that, if you don't use the turn signals at all, the left side has that light that stays on, as well as the mirror light stays on. It should not be like that. You can see there's nothing going on with that mirror, and if you go to the right, it works just fine. It's only on the left side fast blinking, and both of the lights stay on. So this seems like it might just be a pretty straightforward issue. The rear turn signal bulbs seem to be working, but this right here, is the turn signal bulb for the front left side, and it's not working. So I'm assuming this light being out is what's causing all of this over here to stay on. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop that out and see if I have a bulb to replace it with, and we'll see if it fixes this issue. So I've got the headlight zip tied to this thing so that it doesn't fall. I got the turn signal light bulb unplugged. Here goes the harness for it, and look what we got. We got the blue crusties, guys. So yeah, I'm not even gonna bother with this thing. It's going to need a new pigtail as well as a new light bulb. So I'll let the owner know. We'll go ahead and get the parts, see if we can find them from an auto parts store. Of course, I'm not gonna do it today, but that's what's going to need to be done. So I'm not even gonna mess with this. I'm just gonna leave it alone, and I'm sure it'll be back some other day to get fixed. I promise I'm not looking for excuses to use my new Knipex tools. It just so happens, oh, that cut so nice. It was just so beautiful. Did you guys see? So I just turned the engine off, and I still got this right here. I'm gonna go ahead and let that sit for a little while, and I'll explain why later on. But for right now, let's go ahead and look at both of these elbows. Let's start with the one that's a little bit more difficult to get to. Hopefully you guys can see that. The bottom of the elbow looks nice and dry. Don't see anything dripping off of it. Now, of course, I didn't have the cap on it, so the system didn't really get pressurized. But this is a good first step. Looks good to me. And if we come to the other elbow, again, no drips, nothing coming off of that elbow. Looks really good to me. Now, of course, the coolant that's sitting here on the block, there isn't much you could do with that. You're just gonna have to wait it out and wait for it to pretty much evaporate, and that'll be it. Everything's looking really good right there. Now, as far as this, whenever I bleed out a system and we have hot air blowing inside the cabin, whenever possible, because I know it's not the case with every car, some cars are really on a time crunch, but on the cars that can afford to wait, I like to just leave my funnel on here filled up with coolant and let it sit for at least an hour after I'm done bleeding the system, because you never know if there's like a random air pocket trapped somewhere in the system, and if you just let the car sit, that thing will eventually work its way out, and there's always coolant here sitting in the bucket in case a bubble does escape. That coolant can replenish that little air pocket. The guy's not in a rush, okay? He said if I had to, I could keep it overnight, and that's not going to be the case here. It'll be done by tonight. He could come pick it up, but I'm going to go ahead and let this sit for an hour, and that'll be it. I actually forgot to get a cap, even though I said it needed one. It still does need one, so I'll just be sure to tell the owner about this, to go to AutoZone, pick up a cap, and he could replace that himself, so it won't be an issue. You see, this is what I was talking about. It's been about an hour and a half. Came back, and that fluid is noticeably lower than how I left it. So this is why I let cars sit after I'm done bleeding the system, because there's still maybe air trapped in the system, and if you give it time, it'll work its way out. So now I could remove my funnel and put the cap on it. It'll be all set. If he ends up bringing it back to get that turn signal bulb fixed, then I'll put an update in this